hit the button. I can already feel it working.
Can you? It's a good blend.
Had a good year. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
I got a little tickle in the back of my throat.
Whatever,
whatever you had, you gave to me.
West Texas Allergies is whipping some ass.
Yeah, if that's what you want to call it.
With us today, living in his parents' house again at the ripe age of
apartment.
Living in the apartment in the backyard, Mr. Trevor Michael Shannahan. Trevor, how are you doing, my friend?
How's it going today, buddy?
Doing good. We're going to jump right in on politics because you're a really smart person. I enjoy debating and visiting with you, and I always appreciate your opinion. And I'm going to tell you my opinion first, and I want to hear yours, but I'm going to say mine. So
you're going to perjure the jury?
Yep.
Okay.
Today, it's come out that Liberty Safe gave the FBI combination to someone's safe that was on the J6 insurrection, whatever the fuck they did. I guess they went in to see the offices of the building that we own as the public. But anyways, they gave them the combination. This is my thoughts on the deal. Liberty Safe's catching a lot of shit everywhere. I don't think Liberty Safe did anything wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. If that would have been a Jeffrey Epstein client and they gave that stuff to, we'd be all on their side. When there was something that happened 10, 15 years ago, and it was an iPhone that they needed to, and it was a serial killer in California, and I don't remember the whole what the case was, but Apple would not help the FBI at all, and John McAfee volunteered that he would get into that phone. I think if a company can help solve a crime, that they should do that. So I don't have a real issue with Lexington.
Liberty
Safes. I think the J6 deal's a bunch of bullshit, though, but I don't have a real problem with them helping out. And that's my opinion. I want to know your opinion, Trevor.
Man, I tell you that's kind of a hard one there to, man, I would need more information on that.
That is information.
Hold on. I think
You think your headphones died?
They shouldn't have died. They're fully charged.
Or they might have disconnected.
Or the FBI is getting in on this.
Or the FBI heard Jeff mention J6 and he's like, hang on a second. Yeah, it's
they're already coming after us.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on, just a minute. I got my computer right next to me, so it might have somehow synced to my computer. I don't know.
Onto it.
I don't know. I with Apple, I feel like there might be something in the terms of agreement where they were kind of trying to cover their own ass on that. Not to open themselves up to any liability by breaking their terms of agreement. I don't necessarily know with Liberty Safe what kind of terms of agreement they would have with any end user. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. You know, if it had something to do with Epstein, people would be all on board. But because it had to do with the Jan 6 stuff, you know, people are going to be all up in arms about it.
Yeah, like they would be seen as unpatriotic if this had to do with Epstein and Liberty didn't turn over the investigation. Then, well, the CEO of Liberty probably visited Epstein Island, and then you'd have all your conspiracy theories going on it.
Or if this was Hunter Biden's stuff and Liberty was helping, everybody would be like,
right,
hell yeah, that away, But I
guess you kind of have to draw a line in the sand of, do you think that they were criminals on January 6th? And if you do, then your conscience is clear as a business owner.
Right. Do you what kind of surprised me about that is we own a couple of safes, and it bothers me to think that there's someone out there who's got a mass code to get into people's safes.
It's got to be hooked up to the Wi-Fi, doesn't it? Somehow?
No,
there's probably like a backdoor code in it, like a master key almost.
Oh, okay.
But that's scary.
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much have to do that for you as the end user. If you ever lose power or have a power surge or something, and you can't do it from your end, or there's got to be some reason why they would have it. Just like having like a skeleton key or whatever, back in the day where they had a manual key that would open all of them.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, like if grandma passes away and you've got your inheritance in there, there's got to be some way of like proving that you are now the owner of this safe and you need to get inside of it.
We got a friend of ours, and we went to a party this summer at their house, and he's got a huge safe that was probably built 1880s to 1910, a big Wells Fargo space. I think it was in a big bank or something at one time. I mean, a huge safe that probably weighs 2,000-3,000 pounds easy. And they never could get into it. They bought a building and it was in it, and he took it to his house and he wanted to use it. And he finally found a guy that could break into it. And the guy jailbreaked it, figured out how to open it up. And they didn't even get a chance to look at it. And the guy left. He was outside. And his son went over and was jacking with it. And his son accidentally locked it again.
Oh, no. Had to pay him again?
Got to come back and unlock the son of a bitch again.
Jesus.
But, excuse me, my main safe that I've had for 30 years. It bothers me to think that the company that I bought my safe from, and mine's not a keypad, mine's old fashioned. They didn't have keypad safes when I bought mine. Would bother me to think somebody from like that could tell someone what the combination was to come unlock my safe. And it would bother me if I owned a Liberty safe to know that they've got a code to every Liberty safe in America. And, would you want to stick, let's say you had 100 gold bars. Would you want to put them in a Liberty safe right now?
It's one instance.
Well, but still, I mean, it's out there now.
I feel like probably every safe company has that though. So you're kind of, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It doesn't matter what company you're using.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There has to be a reason, whether it's what I said or another reason why they have that. But I'm sure every company does.
Anyways, I just thought it was kind of funny, but I thought it was hypocritical for people on the right, and I'm one of those right people, to be upset about that when if it was a different situation and was to Biden or somebody like that, we'd all be happy as hell that they did it. I think the company's in a no-win situation.
But isn't it that way with anything in this world? Like, as long as it's going right for your team, you don't really you're willing to turn a blind eye.
Yeah, you give a shit or don't work when it's on your shit.
I mean, like whenever it's working for you, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. So
yeah, that's true. There's two sides of the news, and you're either a good guy, you're either happy or sad with everything that happens, especially when it comes to politics and stuff.
Right.
So, I thought Liberty's safe. I think they're catching a lot of grief over shit they shouldn't be catching it over. So
yeah, I mean that hypocrisy on both sides is kind of why I just poo-poo politics. It's like, I'm pretty in the middle, and it's just it's always the left is hypocritical, the right is hypocritical. All the politicians are crooked. It's just a way of life at this point in time, and something we got to deal with. And no, it's never going to be a perfect.
That's
system.
exactly right. Okay, I want you to take up for me real quick and defend me, since I consider an expert on shooting. We did a little shooting contest this year, and nobody in the contest done very well. And we were at a sporting clays course in Tennessee.
He knows where.
At Cross Creek.
Yep, Cross Creek.
We did not shoot really good, and they just had a big shoot there, and we shot on the expert side or whatever it was. That was a hard course.
Well, nobody won. Like you can't say that anybody won. That's like winning a football game 3-2.
Somebody won.
No, you shout ugly to us.
Well, anyways, that's a hard course that we shot at, didn't it, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, if they had set up for the Night Stalker, which I think was right before you guys there, and you shot that set of targets, because they have 3 different courses there. I've shot I think I shot the intermediate and the advanced, and I shot like a 95 on the intermediate and like a 85 on the advanced. But that wasn't, that was just a regular setup that, they hadn't had to shoot there, but they keep that pretty advanced usually, I think. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're considering bad, but if a regular hunter went to a medium to larger sized registered shoot, they would probably get humbled pretty
So
quickly.
you shot 85 out of 100 and you shoot all the time, right?
That was years ago. I think that was my first year making master class. So that would have been, I started in late 2016. That'd have been probably like 2018 on my way out to nationals. And I was heading to Paducah for those big money calling contests that they used to have. I had nothing to do that day. I had my gun with me because I was heading to San Antonio straight from Nashville. So basically, it was 30 minutes out of the way. Went there, shot it. It's absolutely beautiful. One of the most well maintained, beautiful courses in the country. And yeah, so I mean, I went in there. I probably shot 95. Probably should have been closer to a 97, 98. But then on the 85 on the advanced, that maybe dropped 2 or 3. I should know. So like a high 80 would have been at that point in time shooting pretty well for me. Now it'd be, if I'm on, I should be on something like that, a low 90 to a mid 90. If I'm having a bad day, somewhere around 80, and if I'm having an average day, mid to high 80. It just depends on the targets. I mean, like without seeing them, I can't say, oh, this is what it should be. Usually once I shoot a shoot within 1 or 2 targets, I can guess what the HOA score is going to be on.
So you're telling me on that course, on a good day, you're going to shoot 95 out of 100?
Like me doing everything, probably the best that I possibly can. Yeah.
Don't tell me not to gamble money with him shooting. God damn it. It's very impressive.
But I mean, I could pop a 78 out on it too. If I'm tired, dehydrated, not focusing, not making the right moves. There's so many little nuanced things to shooting, especially registered targets, where there's a lot more creativity and technical aspects that go into the target setting aspect of that, and knowing, for one, being able to read it immediately, trying to minimize mistakes that you need to correct, but then just putting a whole round of 16 stations for 100 birds together it's mentally taxing, as well as knowing the technical side of it as well.
What's crazy was some of this stuff looked really simple.
Yes.
I'd be like, oh, this is real fucking simple. This ain't a problem at all. I'm a dead eye. I can shoot
Because
anything.
they throw the one out that
Yeah.
you get to see, and you're like, fuck.
This is simple as shit.
It's just a little this old fucking crossing bird. I got it.
And then whiffing, and I'm like, motherfucker, how did I miss that son of a bitch? But that was a very humbling experience.
That's the technicality side that it's like, if you don't shoot competitively quite a bit and actually study it, being able to read like these little tricky lines and complex leads, where you need to be under and in front, the regular hunter's just not going to be able to do it because they don't know any better. It's not that they wouldn't be able to learn really quick if somebody taught them. It's just they've never been taught that. It's not like shooting a bird where you're just reacting and your brain does all the work. It's a lot more complex, and what you're shooting for in this is consistency too. So like a lot of hunters, and I shoot live birds all swing through. I do not insert in front of the bird because a bird's constantly changing. It's not on a set flight path. It can do any little thing at any given point in time. It's a lot easier to react to that from behind the bird than from out in front of the bird, trying to react out in front of it while still looking at it. So, the majority of hunters shoot a swing through method. There's some targets that you shoot that in. I would say I probably shoot 10 to 15% of targets swing through. Other people might shoot a little bit more than that, but it's very predicated on timing. So it makes it very hard to be consistent shooting that way. Now, there's a lot of British people that shoot that way and shoot that way great. So I'm not knocking it as a method. It's just, a lot of Americans have gone to inserting in front of a target or inserting on the front side, matching the speed, stretching away, or inserting to that lead, matching the speed and pulling the trigger, with a sustained lead. And it leads to a lot more consistent shooting on targets because they have a set flight path that you already know.
So basically, when a hunter gets out there, he sees the target get thrown, and he's like, "Fuck, this is easy." But he doesn't see the little nuances of what that target is doing or how the course is laying out there. He just sees a target going left to right, and he's like, "Fuck, I got this." And then he just doesn't know the little nuances that a professional would know.
On a high level set of targets,
because it was the Night Stalker.
If you just go out to a club, but if you'd have gone to their novice course, you guys probably would have shot high 80s, low 90s on those, because
you hadn't seen me shoot, Trevor.
I promise you, if you're maybe not you, but I have faith in Jeff. But no, as a target setter, there is specific targets that are much easier because they don't take reading of a target. They're very straightforward targets. So I've said a lot of charity courses, I can get hunters shooting in the low 90s pretty easy. And it's a lot of straight line targets, medium speed. You don't want to throw them slow because they're going to blow way out in front of them, but you don't want to throw them fast because they're going to shoot behind them. So medium speed, straight out, straight in. You could throw a little bit of curl, but you want to give them a lot of time to kind of look at some of that curl. But it's there's nuances to setting targets to get people to break targets or to allow them to beat themselves. Because I take pride in getting people to miss a 15, 20-yard target as a target setter. And it's not by doing anything stupid. It's by making it a hard to read target at 15 and 20 yards. Because anybody can set a 60-yard ripping edgy crosser out there and make even the best people hit it, 50% of the time. That's not really good target setting. It's if I can beat you with a little slow target at 15 yards and make you miss it 1 out of 4 times, I just let you beat yourself out of one target that you never should have missed. So, there's little tricks and especially at Cross Creek, they have, a lot of terrain to work with there. So, a good target setter can use that terrain to their advantage and make it really hard to read a target just because of what the terrain is.
The ones going away are so simple to hit. The ones that got me is the ones that were up in the air that were falling down at an arc for some reason.
Because you thought you had it.
I thought those would be the simplest some bitches. Try to hit it right when they're going to stop and fall back down. I thought, I'd hit it right there every time. And I was so fucked up on that at the whole time. And those were the easy shots, I thought. I thought, man, this will be simple as shit. And then I got ahead of everybody, and so I was pretty, because Andy was trying to press himself. I'm going to tell you right now, Andy, at that moment when we left that place, he had no confidence in himself if we got into a shootout with anybody. He probably would have shot himself just to end the misery.
Well, and I could tell you that's an argument inside the Clays community of when we get to these regionals and everything. There was just a regional out in Colorado, and I want to say it was one with a 197 out of 200. Each course got straighted by somebody, and then it was a young kid out of Michigan, shot a 100 the first day and a 97 the second day, and all the top guys were kind of bitching and complaining about it. They're like, this isn't a test of skill. This is a test of focus. These targets were too easy. And me personally, as somebody who likes to challenge themselves, I was thinking about going out to the regional. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I don't like shooting easier, unimaginative targets. I like shooting challenging, creative stuff. Even if I can't hit them, I enjoy shooting them. Just as a shooter, my brain's wired different. Everybody else's is. but then you go to, something like up in Northbrook around Chicago, or you go down to backwoods in South Carolina, and they throw big boy targets, and the lower class shooters get their butts whooped, and everybody starts crying, oh, well, you're going to run people off. But the trend of regionals has been harder targets to separate the top level talent, and not have people shooting 195 to 200 unless they're just out of their mind shooting that weekend. And we've seen the numbers actually increase because the people that are traveling, spending the money to travel to all these big shoots, they want to be challenged. They don't want to put up a feel good score. It's, usually the people complaining are the people who don't travel or don't shoot registered stuff very much, don't leave outside of their local area. And then if a big shoot does come to their local area, then they get hammered because they haven't been working on stuff like that. And then they want to complain. But, just like politics and everything else, it's a vocal minority. But there is some. I have seen bad target saying, like I said, if you throw a ripping 60-yard edgy crosser, that's not a good target. It's just hard for the sake of being hard. You could throw a ripping crossing bird at 60 yards, but show the whole belly of the target so that you can actually see it and make a good move with it.
What is sorry to interrupt. I don't know much about sporting clays other than just go to shoot sometimes. I've never been to a competitive shoot. But these are the best of the best at these world championship deals. These guys are going to pop 200 out of 200, a lot of them. How do they pick a winner? Do they keep shooting until somebody fucks up?
They're not. It's sporting clays. They're not going to pop 200 out of 200. It
so
never
it's not
happens.
Like trap.
It's not trap and ski. It's not the grand where you run 100. You run 100 straight in singles. You better be ready to run 700 more to win. It's not trap, it's not skeet. Now, when you get to the international versions of trap and skeet, perfect scores don't get shot very often because they're a lot harder disciplines. They're a lot faster. International skeet is all low gun on a 3-second delay. So you call pull, it could instantly come out, or you call pull and it could be 1, 2, 3, and then you can't mount until it comes out. And they're faster targets. Same with bunker trap. Bunker trap is you have 5 positions, three traps at each position. You don't know where it's going. It's basically on an algorithm of which one's going to get thrown from each position. You shoot one position, you move to your next after everybody's done. So basically you go all 5 across. You do it 5 times in a row instead of like American trap where you shoot all 5, then you shoot all 5, shoot all 5. They're a lot faster. They're a lot more randomized. Like I said, there's 3 machines at each one. And in the qualifying process, you can shoot 2 shells. In the final process, it's 1 shell. And with all those, Olympic disciplines, it's also 7/8 ounce loads is maximum payload that you can shoot. Where like in American trap and skeet and sporting clays, you could shoot up to 1.8 ounces.
I knew it. No, I had a guy that worked for me that was a world champion or world class shooter, and he worked for me part time. Larry Tyner, that worked here. I never knew Larry. Yeah, Larry worked. Yeah, you did. You just don't remember.
No, I never hung out with Larry. I was
a
fucking
little kid,
11.
But anyways, Larry was a world class, and I think he shot when he was in the Air Force. I think he was on the Air Force. He was on their shooting team, and he shot all over.
So he probably shot trapper.
Yes,
skeet,
he did
because that's what the armed forces.
Yeah,
do.
he shot trapper skeet, but I'm not so sure that he wasn't an Olympic shooter even. I mean, he was really, really, really good, but I thought I could shoot until I was around him, and he got humbled really quick. But he was one of them guys that go shoot 300, 400, 500 of them in a row without missing, and it just always amazed me. But that level is almost like it's mechanical. Whatever they're shooting trap, it's almost pull boom, pull boom, pull boom. I mean, so I was impressed. I'm impressed that you can shoot that way. I don't know how. I'm sure everything you do as a teacher is an easy fix because you know what you're doing. But there's some fuckers out there that just can't shoot for shit, and I don't know how you can fix that.
Yeah, I've not had a lot of students that I would say can't be can't be can't learn how to shoot. Now, I have had some headstrong students that did not want to implement, what I was they didn't buy in, essentially. They did not want to implement what I was teaching, and it's not that they couldn't, it's they were choosing to push back against the instruction. So, I mean, at that point in time, it's like, okay, don't waste your money with me. Go find somebody that's going to basically tell you what you want to hear at that point in time. And that doesn't happen very often. Usually, I mean, my students are great. They take instruction well. They see improvement, pretty rapidly. I do not work with a lot of higher end students. Like I won't take a paying customer that's a masterclass shooter, even though I could help a lot of masterclass shooters. I won't take a student on. I will send them to somebody that I think understands the game at a higher level than me and understands how to teach the game at a higher level than me. I'll work with those people and go shoot with them and like, tell them stuff that I think would better their game, but I'm not going to take money for it. So basically I take AA and under students. And a lot of my, I've had a lot of students in the past that were just recreational shooters that wanted to get better to shoot with their buddies or go hunting and everything. And those are usually the most receptive to teaching. Honestly.
Well, listen, when you get down here, I'll let you do a little crash course if we have time.
Yeah.
Because
so I'm probably going to be in Texas for 2 weeks because I'm driving down. My plan is to drive down, shoot the Nationals. I'm gonna stay with Buck there in San Antonio for the week. Shoot the Nationals. BS around with him for maybe a day or two afterwards, and then start meandering my way up to you guys.
Cool, perfect. We got room, so just get up here whenever you get up here.
Okay.
Did you find? No, yeah. The goddamn fan, Jeff.
Oh, the fan. Where the fuck is it?
It's fucking hotter. I would say an Eminem verse, but
it's not hot. I think you're sick.
Huh? Well, I don't know. But fucking opening weekend happens out here, and then everybody starts cleaning shit up and putting shit away. But no, we do need that fly swatter.
I don't know where the fan was or the fan is, but it has definitely disappeared.
Yeah, it has.
Hey, are girls easier to teach than men are? Females, because they listen better.
Mostly, yes. I've had a couple headstrong ones, but yeah, most of the time they take instruction a lot better. I had this one middle-aged little teeny Asian lady that came to me when I was down in Florida, and she was coming every week. And like she started out, she couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and she had come from a rifle and pistol background. And I told her, I was like, look, this is nothing like rifle and pistol. You can't aim. You have to basically feel the shot. You're not aiming. And I tell you, like in 2 weeks, she like instantly started getting better. And then it was just like, she just took off and ran with it. I was like, man, I said, if she ever wanted to get competitive with it, she could actually like do halfway decent. Being, because I was taking her to advanced targets and she just she got it, but she bought in from the get go. I could tell literally from the first day that I had her there, I was like, this lady is going to be a sponge. She is going to soak up every single thing I talk to her, and she's going to work on it.
That would be my wife.
In the off time.
That would be my wife.
Jessie's good at everything, though. She's a good athlete. She's competitive.
She is,
and she listens.
That's her thing. Like she will listen, and like if she puts her mind to it, like she'll obsess over it.
Yeah,
which I do too about certain things. But it
ain't shooting. It's
not shooting.
No.
It's never been about shooting. but if Jessie got a wild hair up her ass and was like, "Hey, I'm going to be a better shot than Andy," she would do it in like two fucking weeks.
She's a better shot than you now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's a better shot than him now. I'm gonna tell you right now, though. I can shoot a shotgun pretty decent. And I got new glasses now, and I bet I can shoot better than I was 6 months ago. But you put a pistol in my hand, and I might as well, if I got in a shootout, give the guy the gun to shoot me with it, because I cannot hit shit. And we've got a group of kids in our town, a family, and they competitively pistol shoot.
Yeah.
And they got a 6-year-old or 7-year-old little girl that I would let put her, my life, I would be behind her and let her, I would hand her the gun and say, shoot the bad people for me, because she is an excellent shot. Their whole family is. I mean, I watch them shoot on video, and I'm like, that's embarrassing to me.
Yeah.
And then they shoot a lot, but they're good. But I cannot shoot a pistol to save my life.
So I'm not competitive level pistol shooter by any means, but like when I first moved to Florida, I was working at a range where it was mainly a rifle and pistol range. So, you know, I finally broke out my pistol that I maybe put one magazine through in the 10 years I'd had it, and had a buddy of mine, and I was like, hey, just watch me and, you know, let me know. And I just started shooting it like I shoot a shotgun, both eyes open, looking at the target, not looking at the end of the barrel. The only thing I changed is I don't slap the trigger. I was letting the trigger kind of surprise me, but everything about looking at the and center mass at everything. And it's like, okay, this isn't much different. And I think what a lot of people try to do is shoot completely different. Where if you can instinctively shoot a shotgun, if you actually tried to instinctively shoot a pistol, you'd probably do a lot better than if you actually are trying to aim.
Right.
Well,
if that makes sense. If that makes sense.
I'm terrible, and I shoot a shotgun with both eyes open. When I was younger, I shot with one eye.
Mm-hmm.
But once I went to two eyes, it made things so much better. But a pistol, I don't know if I'm supposed to use one eye, two eye. I'd be better off to close both fucking eyes when I use a pistol.
I mean, like he was saying, like to get center mass, like what they always say is just like point your finger at whatever you want to shoot at.
My pointer's crooked.
Well, like no, you instinctively point at that door.
I've tried it.
You got to fucking think about it. Like if a person walked in that door, they're going to take up most of that door. So just fucking get close.
Yeah, I would get close. I would scare the fuck out of somebody for sure, but I probably wouldn't hit them.
I bet you would. I bet it would be instinctual.
Do you put your pointer finger straight when you're shooting a shotgun?
I don't even use a pointer finger. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if I do or not. I just shoot.
I mean, so on my grip, my pointer finger is like that, basically right down the barrel. So that my left hand is pointing at my on hand.
I put mine around the
you cup.
I cup it.
I cup it.
I don't point with my finger.
That and that's a big hunter thing, is cupping. But basically ever since I started shooting clays, that finger went from here to going down that barrel, and you're turning that gun into an extension of your hand. But I mean, I could sit here and talk about shooting all day. I gave you the two that you need to have on to really break it down way better than I ever could.
Yeah, I've talked to them, and I need to get them on. They've agreed to be on. You know what's funny is this what's going to happen? Probably this weekend or next weekend or next week probably. We're supposed to have a good front next week, so we should get a big push of birds. Me and Andy and the boys will probably go out and shoot dove next week when it's less than 110 freaking degrees. And Andy's going to shoot, and he's going to miss, and he's going to say, that fucking Trevor, tell me that point and figure, that shit don't work for shit for me. That's what he's going to say.
The goddamn Trevor don't know nothing. Fucking pointing bullshit. That's probably, that is what I'm going to say, probably.
I can sit here and tell you this right now. It's like I have built my fundamentals up in clay shooting over the years. I still have a mental game issue that is, I don't know if it'll ever clear up, but it's gonna take a lot of work, a lot of conscious work to fix that. I put up big scores when I put up big scores based on a lot of natural talent. So it's like it just kind of like I started shooting registered target probably in the low to mid 70s without ever having shot clays. And which it kind of blows my mind, Andy, with you being a quarterback, you understand
the
leads. And that kind of blows my mind that you have an issue, if you have as much of an issue as you make it out to be. I'm sure if I watched you, I probably wouldn't think that, but like I've seen some really bad shots.
He's not that bad, but by God, let me tell you something. He misses enough that when he does kill something, he lets you know he hit it. So,
but no, so I mean, like if you wanted to have like in-depth, like actual really, really good conversations and break it down way better than I ever could, getting Zach and Desi on, especially especially Desi, because I think Desi just she understands how to break it down in a way that like even the layman's will understand. But they both have such an in-depth knowledge and so much experience doing it. Plus, avid hunters. Desi thinks Jeff's the funniest man in the world, so I'd love to see you guys have him on for a podcast. And,
God bless Desi.
you know.
I need to have her on.
She mistaken.
I messaged her about it, and we need to get her on. We need to do it in the next couple of weeks. We're gonna switch it up just a little bit. You were on the stage in St. Louis when the storm hit.
Were you blowing like
With
when it came through?
This is the hat that I had to put my hat. It went, and I put my hand on it to keep it from blowing over. I'm pretty sure the last 5 seconds of my routine, I was staring straight at the judges because the judges' tent had blown over. I mean, it was a shit show. I took a wad on that weekend.
I bet you did,
because I was just banking. I was banking on the Goose just to pay the weekend off, because I think third place was $750, and it's like, well, I'm not going to finish worse than third place, And then the duck was whatever. I mean, I liked my routines, but I definitely saw from the 4 people who beat me. I finished 5th in that. We only blew 2 rounds. I think if I'd have got a 3rd round, I could have made a little bit of a move. But I definitely saw a difference in the tone of calls. I was using a little bit different tone call than I usually do because I was not confident. Just because of lack of practice, I kept high toning one hen, one big powerful hen, on a call that I would usually use in a meat routine, and I switched to one that was a little bit higher pitch, a little bit raspier, just a different tone than what everybody else was having. So I took my 5th, got my 250 or whatever the heck it was, that was a rough weekend. I'm pretty sure I spent more on alcohol on Saturday night than I made on the weekend. That was I was a menace to society that weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because it's frustrating. Dive Bomb obviously doesn't want to have a thunderstorm, fuck up the last 3 hours of their event, but it's like, guys like you that had airplane tickets and hotels and food and drinks. It's like you've spent a lot also, and it's a shitty situation the whole way around.
Well, and it's crazy because 45 minutes before that, an hour before that, I was like, you know what? In the 3 years we've been here, we've been pretty lucky to not have any weather other than it being hot. And I was after that blew through, I'm like, well, I jinxed
exactly.
it. But I was looking at the radar. I said, this is going to get bad. And I didn't think it was going to get. I thought we would get the duck done, and then it would blow in right when the goose was about to start. But it ran through even faster than that. I mean, I was the last caller of the 2nd round, so we took all 2 rounds. It was pretty much unanimous with the callers. And I mean, I was definitely pushing for it because it's like, I'm confident I'm in the top 5. I would like to recoup a little bit of my money instead of, just getting my entry fee money back.
Yeah.
But I think basically on the Goose, what they decided to do was they are going to double the prize pool for the Goose next year.
There you go.
Because they didn't run it this year.
Somebody was telling us like, around 3:00. It was Saturday morning. Everybody was like, I think around 3:00 they got a chance of storms, and it's 115 degrees, and coming from Texas, I hadn't seen rain since May. So it's like, yeah, whatever. It ain't gonna fucking rain. And then like we had sold out of everything at Boss. So like they were just like, let's just tear down and let's go. And we were on the road maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And I remember as we were walking out, kind of looked over my shoulder and I was like, there are some thunderheads blowing up out there. But I was not expecting gale force winds and fucking tents getting moved and the dive bomb tent getting rearranged. I was just thinking it might rain, we'll have 20, 30 mile an hour winds, some thunder. They'll have to shelter in place for a minute and then it'll blow over and it'll be done with. Boy, was I fucking wrong. I was on the road and it was blowing 18-wheelers. We were worried about an 18-wheeler flipping over on top of us. So I was fucking gunning it past 18-wheelers. It was bad.
What do you
It was wild.
If someone put on a contest, what kind of money would it take, winner take all, Goose Open, to get the big dogs to come out of retirement? All of you. Nothing that's cut off to anybody?
That's where you just messed up.
Okay.
Winner take all.
All right. So that's a bad thing. So what kind of prize package for first place would it be to get everybody out of retirement to come blow one more time?
Dive bomb. Fuck, everybody blows there, don't they?
No, not even close. You'd have to put 10 grand the first, 5 to second, 3 to third, 2 to fourth, 1 to fifth, and 750 for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 500 for 9th and 10th. Or
so $25,000. $25,000 is what it would take to get the big dogs in.
Who's not blowing in? Who would come to this contest that's not in it right now?
Would Hunter blow again? You think?
Hunter blows a dive bomb, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He wasn't
there this year.
Actually, he was there, but I didn't see. I don't know if he was going to call in the Goose or not. I mean, he was there running. I'm pretty sure he was there running a booth and doing seminars and everything. So I don't know if he was going to call or not. It's calling a contest where, I know he's not practicing. So, maybe I finish third or fourth and win a couple $100, or the hour that it would have taken me to blow in that contest. If I was sitting at my booth, I just made $1,000 sitting at the booth,
But what?
Pretty much
so
guaranteed.
$25,000. If someone got a $25,000 pot up, you could get the best goose callers to travel to try to win that.
Yeah, and you would have to announce judges early and have it be a good panel.
So how are you going to do that? Because aren't the good judges going to want to blow in the contest?
No, I mean you could get guys like, if you went and got guys that know what they're listening for, but wouldn't ever compete again. So like just say Sean Stahl. Or a I don't know. I'd have to sit a Sean Stahl or a Bill Saunders, or those kind of guys. That's what you would kind of be looking for on for something like that. Somebody with some name, some cachet, somebody that the callers respect. That wouldn't be calling anyways.
Because every group of, doesn't matter what you do. I'm going to use dog training for an example. Some of the best dog or field trial judges are guys that have never ever won a field champion, had never had their own field champion, but they're great judges, but they've never ever trained their own dog to win anything like that. So I'm sure there are some guys out there that are contest callers, judges that really don't blow anymore.
That don't call anymore. Yeah, maybe. I would say if you never, there is very, very, maybe on one handful, a set of good judges that never competed at a high level. Not saying that they didn't, not saying that they had to win a world, but these guys were, constantly probably in the top 5 of major contests, and maybe even third, fourth, fifth, maybe never even won a big one, but they and that would have been just maybe because of talent, not because they didn't know what they were listening for and whatnot. But there's only a a handful of people that never competed at a high level that I would say could correctly and accurately judge a calling contest, especially at the level that we've taken calling to over the past. I say we, I'm talking about the people before me too, because I didn't get into it until 2006. But over the last 23, probably starting at about 2000, the level that we've taken calling to over the last 20, 25 years, it's just different, and there's so many small nuances and things that people, if you hear it, you think it's simple until you try to do it, and then if you haven't tried to do it, you don't understand how technical and difficult it is.
Yeah. There's a bunch of notes that are like that. Let's, I mean, like a kind of like a train note. You hear it and you're like, I can do that, and then like you try to nail it, and you're like, oh fuck. Like there's a lot of like little finagling. I got to do this, and you got to know your call too. Like you got to know how far you can push it, or it'll just fucking run over on you.
And on that conversation, you're going like to almost like the most basic of basics. Yeah. I'm talking super small nuances. Like if you listen to my routine, you can almost never tell where I'm taking a breath, especially like back when I was hitting contest after contest and never had like these 6 to 8 month gaps between contests. In my Goose routine, you could not hear where I was taking a breath. Nobody, like a handful of people in the entire world, understand how hard that is, because there's only a handful of people that can actually do it. It's grounds used to get on people for check geese all the time, because it kills the flow of a routine. And he's like, he told me, he's like, Trevor, he's like, you're really unique. And you ain't got a single check goose in your routine. I was like, nah, Tim, I heard you bitching enough people about it. I was like, I'm gonna come up with check sequences. So I create sequences. So instead of a look, it's let it go, something like that. Instead of going look, where it really kills the flow, you're doing multiples, but you're sneaking little breaths in there, and it keeps the flow going. So there's still only a handful of people that do it. There's more now than there ever used to be, but I'd say 5 or 6 that do it at a high level, and that's just a little nuanced thing that, like, if you didn't know that, you're not going to notice the difference,
right?
So
what do you do? To do that? To do the check sequences, basically, you stop you instead of like running your air capacity all the way down to where you would have to do a single note to catch up. Do you just keep a little bit more in the tank to where you can blow through that and string a couple notes together?
I mean, maybe I never consciously thought about it like that. It was, I started setting everything up where, and just, I would say most people probably have enough air to go, let it collect, instead of look, right. Look, let it collect, because that let it collect doesn't take much more air than going, look, right. Like a big deep goose going, let it collect.
Right.
It's not that much air, but then being efficient with sneaking those small breaths too. It's just something you figure out over time, or you don't. It's one of those things that you have to put some effort into, but I don't know that every single person would ever, would always be able to achieve it.
Yeah. I would fucking hate judging, because I would hear a good caller and then I would give them like a fucking, I don't know, high score, and then somebody would come up like 2 callers later, and they'd be fucking 10 points better than the other guy, and I wouldn't have anywhere to go on the paper if I'm run out of numbers, bud.
I don't know how. I could never do anything like that anyways, because I'm like you. Everyone, that sounded better than the one before.
That was really fucking good. I'll give him a 77.
Yeah, by the last time you're like 145. It's 100 cutoff. Well, that guy's a little better though.
So we have a 10 point scale.
Right. Yeah.
I essentially use 7 to 8 of it. And then in the first round, I usually will never give more than a 7. I have given some first round 8s where I scored myself into a corner, and somebody came at the very end that I was like, oh no, he's at least a point better, if not 2 points better. I'm not going to give him a 9 in the first round, but I gave him an 8. But that's why I give myself that little bit of leeway in the first round, and I don't mind. The first round's usually, to me, the easiest round as far as the caller. So I don't mind scoring people similar or the same and letting them separate themselves out in the second and third round. And that's when I start opening my scores up, because I don't think somebody should just get a lucky draw or whatever and run away with the contest in the first round, because I've seen it happen before. They win the first round by 4 or 5 points because they just happen to get in one run, and after wild shit happens, and then the second round and third round they don't even win it. They might lose it by 1 point, but they had such a big gap in the first round where they didn't really change the routine. So I try to keep my scores real tight in the first round, let them separate themselves in the second, and then separate them even more in the third. And you use the first round to gauge the level of talent in the contest too, because you go in, you might have some expectations, but usually you're pretty blind to what you're going to hear. And so if you try and keep everything tight in that first round, okay, now I was like, this is my guy. If he blows clean again, I can get him 1 or 2 up on my next guy down, and you make cuts so you have less people to fit into a small scoring scale. And then the third round is even more. And for some people, the pressure gets to them in the third round. Some people thrive on it because they don't feel any pressure. They don't get nervous at all. So that third round is when you hear, honestly, I think you hear most of your mistakes in the third round.
Because people tighten up.
Yeah. And they're like, oh shit, I'm in the top 5. I got a chance at this, and then tighten up. Where you got somebody like me, it's like first round, second round, third round, it doesn't matter. It's a bird whistle contest. I'm here. I'm gonna do what I do and let the scores fall how they do. But other people, I've literally seen people sitting there like shaking, and like I take a pause, and I'm trying to get my air right. When I take a pause, like you see me, and like I'll nod my head, and then I back off, and it honestly, it came from shooting, because like part of my pre-shot routine is kind of wiping the sweat off my left hand before I mount the gun. Well, now I'm just like, that hand is where I'm getting all the spin on it. So I just kind of wipe that off, get my breath right, because how much, if you have too much breath in your lungs, it'll screw you up too. So you want to kind of about that perfect amount, and then hammer down. And everybody's like, oh man, you were nervous as hell. I was like, no, I wasn't. I do that at literally every single round. Right. And I'm not nervous. It's part of my routine. And it's subconscious at this point in time.
Yeah, it's my routine. Fucking let me do it. I'm not nervous. Let me ask you this. What if they told you where you were in between each round?
I would love it, and it would kill other people.
Would?
Yes. Corey Nickum would be the biggest head case if you told him what his score was. Hey, so the last year I was at Worlds, I knew where I stood every single round, because somebody had a Apple Watch on, and he was getting scores fed to him, and he said, you're 1 point behind Steiny going into the third round. You're in second place. I said, cool. I laid that shit down. Same way I always do. When they didn't call me and Steiny back, I was like, and I listened to Steiny, and he blew clean. He didn't do anything to get cut. And they were calling names, because there's always a million freaking ties. And they didn't call me and him. And I was like, shit, I got second place. I said, because if I was after 2 rounds, I think I was like 3 out of the lead in the first round, but so was Steiny. And then somebody, that first round is so wild at Stuttgart. And then, me and Steiny climbed up into the top 2. But I was like, if after 2 rounds I'm 1 behind it, he didn't do anything for them to cut him for. I was like, I don't think I jumped him by 2 points. I was like, so I know I have second place. So at that point in time I knew, but and that's I told Steiny, I was like, if it comes down to you and me, you got this. It's like, because I pretty much knew what the scores were. So I mean, there was a chance that it happened, but it was 5% maybe.
Right.
So,
because I mean, any other sport, what the score is going into the final inning, final quarter, whatever, final period. Where you are throughout the game. So, like, if they had
not fighting,
not in what? Well, no, that's true. Just go for the knockout.
Not in fighting.
Go for the fucking knockout every time.
and that's what I do. I go for the knockout anytime.
Right.
So
but like,
it didn't change. It never changes my method.
If every round they're like, okay, we're cutting these people, and the people remaining, this is where you're at. It would add a wrinkle.
It would affect the outcome of a lot of contests, because you do have some people like me who just don't care, and then it would get in the heads of quite a few people who I think you'd be surprised would probably not have as many wins as they do, right. If they knew exactly where they were going into it.
I think
especially if they were like 1 point out of the lead.
Yeah. Fucking let her rip, bud. You're down 2 points. Go fucking let her fly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the way, that's the way I've always called. And everybody's like, well, there ain't any in between with you. You're calling to win, or you're going to finish last trying.
Well, that's the way it should be, though. And what sucks is this is another thing. It's like gymnastics. It's all someone else's opinion. Well,
that's why I gravitated to sporting clays off of this, because
tangible.
It's it's you either break the clay or you don't. There's no subjectivity to it. Where this is 100% subjective, and it's like I think my opinion is more valid on than a lot of people's, because I've come up with a lot more stuff on a call. I think a lot of times that I'm blowing over top of people's heads, but and it's just because they haven't put the time in listening to birds or trying to do the stuff that I'm doing on a call. But if they're judging, ultimately it's in their hands, and it sucks, but it's part of the game. And it's like, when I was young, it really frustrated me. I thought it was absolute bullshit, but at this point in time, it's like, whatever. It's like a dive bomb. I thought I called good enough to win. I finished 5th place. Okay, whatever. Let's go party.
Right. Yeah.
Did you let Mikey stay in your room again this year?
Of course, they're buddies. Bunk buddies.
No, I stayed with Mikey this year.
Good for you then. Good for you.
I babysat him last year. He babysat me this year.
Every other year.
Ooh, Saturday night was rough, bud. You guys saw me being tame
on Friday night.
Yes, that was me being tame.
Saturday night, you turned up.
Did y'all go out both nights or one night?
Oh, Saturday.
No, Saturday. We were on the road. We left Saturday.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that's the Thursday night.
Show.
Yeah, it's a 2-day deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you let her all hang out on Saturday night, huh? Did you go back to the Westport?
Oh yeah. I mean, I went blackout. I ended up in the bushes. I'm pretty sure I hit on Mikey's sister all night.
On whose sister?
She doesn't look like Mikey. Does she?
I didn't know Mikey had his. Oh, he does have his sister. She's pretty good looking.
She looks nothing like Mikey. Let's put it that way.
Well, that still didn't answer the question if she's pretty or not, because Mikey's a long way from being pretty.
She's cute.
Is she?
She's cute.
She lived in Lubbock, didn't she?
I was surprised.
I don't know. Why would Mikey let his sister come to an event like that? It's nothing but savages.
No shit.
It's just savages. I was on guard the whole time with Jesse. I was like, I'm fucking walking around with my chest puffed out the whole time at this fucking show. It's nothing but savages there.
That's insecurity right there, Andy. Yeah.
I had her hanging out with me. It was me, Jurgis, and Mike Clements at the end of the table at the Westport, and I was comfortable
You were
with that
safe
crowd.
with her there.
Yeah. Alex is married, so
And it was-
he's not making any moves.
It was me,
So Mikey took
me and
his
Clancy
sister.
on the other end.
Yeah. I had man hands Clancy, as my security guy.
I can't believe Mikey took his sister.
I wouldn't bring my sister to that fucking event.
He built himself up the whole way before he got there. She's like, well, because, Mikey's kind of a B-list celebrity at these kind of things. He's telling her about
Everybody knows who Mikey is.
Everybody knows Mikey.
Yeah, everybody knows Mikey.
And she's like, oh, wow, I'm Mikey's sister. And they're like, there's no fucking way.
I don't know if she lived in Lubbock or not.
I think she lived in Lubbock because when he was working here, he would go to, I'm going to look her up real quick. Yeah, that's his dad's daughter, and his dad, that's not his mom's. He's the only child of his mother's, I believe.
Hey, what'd you think of Coach Prime winning on Saturday? I know TCU's not the team of the past, but
We're going to talk football in a minute with him.
well, not college football. I can talk about whatever I want. It's my fucking podcast.
You sure can.
Jeff.
Knock yourself out.
What'd you think of Coach Prime winning?
I made $90 off of it, so I'm
There
good.
you go.
Dude, 20 and a half point spread on a TCU team that lost its QB1, running back one, and wide receiver one to the draft. Yeah, I'm not going to take them beating Colorado, who's invigorated by 20 points. I didn't see Colorado winning. I didn't bet the money line. I'd have made a lot more money if I'd have bet the money line, but yeah, I mean, that was the easiest spread bet I've ever made in my life.
I couldn't believe that they had it at a 3 touchdown dog. I mean, I really couldn't. Whenever I saw it come out, I was like,
That's insane.
they're going to cover this no matter, like, Dion, whatever, but they're not going to beat him by 3 touchdowns.
No, I was like, I don't bet college football very much because, for one, I don't pay attention to it anywhere near the NFL, and so. But when I see something like that, I got to pounce. If I in my gut, I'm like, that's the lock of a century, I'm gonna spend some money on it. And so. I mean, I might put 10 bets a year on college football. that one happened week 1.
I told Jeff, I feel bad for the guys that set those lines early season because there's just so much volatility, especially with the NIL coming like it is right now. You don't know how everything's shaking out right now.
They move. I mean, the lines will move on, with how the money's coming in.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to offset their money.
Well, I'm sorry. The money line moves with how the money's coming in. I don't know that the spread does. Now they can adjust spreads based on
Injuries
and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure. So the Chiefs are less than a touchdown.
I think
favorite
it's 2.5 points
this week.
It's dropped 1.5 since Kelsey's deal.
Right. So they can do it for
what?
injury, but not.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know if he's playing or not.
I think he's out.
I'm seeing it at a 5.5.
Yeah,
I see it at 5.5.
it was at 6.5 last night.
So
Was it?
yeah,
okay, so I would have thought it had been 7.5. I'd have thought it had been over a touchdown. But
well, Chris Jones is not playing,
Right.
and Kelsey may not be playing right there. You're taking off 2 of their 3 best football players are not playing.
I mean, I hate to spoil the pick, but I already got the lines. So
But what? Okay, so yeah, it is. So yeah, so the Chiefs game's 4.5 points is what I've got.
It's at 4.5 now.
What did you have it at?
It was 6.5 last night.
This was 4 hours ago. CBS updated this.
It's down. It's dropped 2 points from the earlier line.
But what did Shanahan have it at? Is what I'm getting.
He said he thought it was going to be 7.5.
It's 5.5 on the one I'm looking at, but
Either way, less than a touchdown.
every book's going to be a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah.
Less than a touchdown. But whenever that spread came out, and this is what I told Jeff, it's not Colorado's fault that whoever the smart people are in college football had TCU as a top 20 team. It's not Colorado's fault that they had them at a 3 touchdown dog. Like, none of that's their fault. And they came and they beat TCU, who at the time was, 17? Is that what they were going into
Ranked
the game?
17, yep.
and a three touchdown favorite.
They take a wash on week 1 and then make it back the rest of the year. They're fine.
I think
I'm never going to feel bad for Vegas.
no.
Like
Well,
feeling bad for the government.
they put that money off though somewhere else. I mean, that was that they washed that money somewhere else.
But what
there
I'm
was
saying
three
is,
20-point dogs that won this weekend.
But everybody's saying, well, TCU, they lost this, they lost that. They're not the team of the past. Colorado played TCU. And this is what TCU was whenever they played Colorado. They were number 17 and they were a 3 touchdown favorite. So,
yep.
I bet.
Oh, I think it's awesome, and I mean, I think a coach can really turn around, a program that fast. But he went in and he was like, "You all suck. Get out. I want my guys." Yeah. And you know what? If he was at a bigger program, that probably wouldn't fly. But it's Colorado. They're bottom 5 in the offense and defensive categories last year. I'm pretty sure they were terrible. They haven't been relevant since the 90s, kind of like Nebraska. Yeah. But coming in with and honestly, like I saw somebody talk about this, but coming in with that brashness at a program like Colorado. It's pretty much what they had, was what he had to do to actually make them a viable program quickly.
Right. Yeah. And I saw the video. Did you see the video of the kids from the stands? Texas Christian University.
Oh, making fun of his son?
No, screaming, "Fuck you, Dion." Texas Christian University, all the students, fuck you.
So you really, just because it's Texas Christian, you don't think Baylor, SMU, you don't think any of them schools act that way?
Jeff.
That's just the way it is.
It's got Christian in the name.
What they might be,
it's got Christian in the name. Oh. And then they told Travis Hunter, "You basically suck. You're not going to do any good. You suck. You're no good." And
he
Travis
ain't pretty,
Hunter,
but he's good.
Right after that interception, he happened to do it in front of the section that was telling him, "You suck. You're no good." And he was like, "Which one of y'all said that?" I'm like, "Where are you at now?"
Yeah, he is good.
Did you see the sign?
No.
It was like they had Deion's son's name. His QBR is lower than my GPA.
They were ripping on him. That was a great game. That was a great college game. I think Nebraska is going to upset Colorado this week. I really do. Matt Rule is
that is a big take.
Matt Rule is a good coach. It's going to take him a while. He's going to turn Nebraska around. He and Scott Frost. I think Matt's going to do a good job. But that's what's going to bring and now what I'm doing is setting Dion up to win by 40 points probably. But Colorado, we all watched the game. TCU had a chance to win that game anyways.
They did.
And I don't think TCU is a good football team this year. I think they lost a lot of really good teams.
Do you think they're better or worse than Nebraska?
I don't know. I hadn't seen Nebraska. I mean, it's first game of the year.
Nebraska?
No, hell no.
They're definitely better. It's Nebraska. They suck.
It's hard to judge teams in week 1. It's hard to do it because there's so much turnover. I watched the Duke Clemson game. What a great game. The best team did not win, but I was so happy to see Duke play. I think if Duke and Clemson play 10 times, Clemson wins 8 times. But Duke capitalized on Clemson fuck-ups. That was a great, entertaining football game.
Clemson gave that game away so many times, it's not even funny.
Missed two field goals blocked, fumbled the ball twice inside the 5. But you know what? TCU did the same thing to Colorado. TCU threw 2 interceptions inside the 5-yard line. I mean, it's just, but that's what I like because usually in college football.
But hold on, is that TCU giving it away or is that Colorado making a play?
It don't matter. But what I'm just saying is
that goes back to our original argument about Liberty, about us having prejudices.
Okay, that's right. Yes, if you're from Colorado
might have made a play.
Colorado made a play, but if you're TCU, you're like, we fucking gave that game away. But it was good football.
I mean,
it was fun.
I think you have to watch the game to be able to say Colorado made a play because that Travis kid's a dog, or Clemson was just, that was the shittiest throw I've ever seen. He threw it right to him. There's nuances to it, but you have to actually watch the tape to be able to say it. I did not watch the Colorado game, so I don't know whether they made plays or not.
They made plays. Both interceptions, Travis Hunter and the other kid made plays on the ball to get the interception.
I watched the Clemson game. They gave that game away.
And they might have. I didn't watch the Clemson game. I went to sleep.
Clemson's wishing the kid at Oregon State was still at Clemson quarterbacking, I think.
Who, DJ?
Whatever the fuck you say
whatever?
his name is, because that was their quarterback killed them in that game.
Yeah, but I mean, last year they wanted to get rid of that kid. They didn't want him because he killed them all last year.
He was a freshman.
So
his dad's.
No, he wasn't.
I thought he was a freshman last year.
He was. Nah, he was because he came in. Who was the quarterback before
Trevor
him?
Lawrence.
He came in and he came in for 2 games when Trevor Lawrence got hurt, or 1 game when Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and balled out. So everybody's like, "Oh, great, we got the." He was a true freshman. Trevor Lawrence.
He was a true freshman when he did. His dad's a big time Hollywood bodyguard, isn't he? I'm thinking his dad, that DJ, he's Oregon State's quarterback. His dad is a big time like a Hollywood bodyguard. Big. Is he Samoan? His dad's like 6'6", and he's 6 foot tall and he's 6 foot wide and muscles.
He's Hawaiian or Samoan. Yeah.
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Okay.
But he's their quarterback.
Yeah, Oregon's shit. What's that kid's name? Because he's in.
That's the kid that was at Auburn.
Year.
That's the kid that was at Auburn, or he was at Auburn. What's his name?
I just had it. It was a simple name, but I'm at Oregon State.
Oregon's quarterback was the kid that was at Auburn that transferred.
His name is Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. Yep, it's Bo Nix. Ugalaga or whatever his name is.
I'm trying to find his dad.
Andy, is Texas Tech going to upset Oregon this weekend?
No. We lost to Wyoming.
An unathletic Wyoming team.
The season's over. Oh. We're playing for 2024. It's done.
Wyoming reminded me of if you went to a high school football game in Wyoming where there's no black kids playing. There was like 1 or 2 black kids on Wyoming's football team suiting up. You ain't going to win a football game like that. And when they do, they beat Texas Tech with no athletes.
Wisconsin did it for years.
Yeah, but they always had black kids in the backfield. That's Clemson's problem too. They got a white running back.
You can have a white running back. You can't have a white cornerback.
No, Wyoming had all of them.
The worst part is like all off season we'd heard about the moves that Texas Tech had made and the recruits that they've been getting in, and then they laid that fucking stinker on us.
They got a bunch of true freshmen that are good.
Well,
Tech has got a great coach, and he will do good things there. Yes, he's good. He's good. He gets into the doors in Texas. His problem now is that Colorado joined the Big 12, and Dion can get him more doors. Dion will get into every 5-star and 4-star recruit in the state of Texas easy.
Yes.
My question is, why do you think Matt Rule is a good football coach?
He did a really good job at Baylor. I think he's a good coach. He's very good at fundamentals. The kids like him. They work hard for him. I think he'll do good at Nebraska. The problem that they have in college football now is this transfer portal is fucking everything up.
Are you sure he's a good coach, or is he a good recruiter?
I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach.
That's a good question.
And that's 2 different things.
He was dog shit in the NFL, just like Nick Saban. He can recruit. He can't coach.
Yeah, but coaching the NFL is a different game compared to coaching at. And plus,
Cliff Kingsbury, good recruiter, terrible coach.
Yeah, he was a terrible coach in college too, though.
Fuck off.
He was a terrible coach in college. What did he ever win?
Manziel.
He was a fucking coordinator.
He coached Patrick Mahomes.
What did Matt Rule? What did Matt Rule win in college?
He didn't
win jack shit.
They won the Big 12 2 years in a row, I believe.
And goodness, that's like fucking.
Matt Rule is
that's
a good
consolation
Texas
prize.
Was down.
Yeah,
Texas was down.
Texas
those years.
Has been down since fucking Matt Brown left.
Texas is back, baby. Texas is back, baby. Texas is back.
I'm ready for Arch Manning to.
Arch Manning not even going to see the football field this year, probably.
Well, not this year, but he will next year.
No.
Yeah. No, not this year.
No, let's go to our football podcast. We've talked enough. Let's go over to that when we can talk football.
Okay. Well, so you're ready to bail on this one? And
we'll start right up where we left off on the other one.
Okay, so let me hit stop. Bye, everybody. Go check out our sponsors. Go check out Boss Shot Sales, Pacific Calls, Dive Bomb Industry, Dirty Duck Coffee, Chin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Films, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoors, and Hemp Hill Farm.